Welcome back to the YouTube channel where coins aren't just small pieces of change but rare artifacts carrying stories of unexpected fortune, astonishing history, and life-changing value. And today we're taking a deep dive into the mind-blowing world of the 2006 5-cent coin that has stunned collectors and numismatic experts by being appraised at a jaw-dropping $28 million. And you might be asking how a seemingly ordinary nickel, one minted by the billions in the 21st century, could end up valued higher than luxury yachts, international real estate, and even priceless pieces of art. And the answer lies in a series of unbelievable minting errors and production anomalies that occurred during a unique moment in U.S. mint history, and those very flaws, typically viewed as defects, ended up creating a coin so rare and so utterly unrepeatable that it has captured the imagination of serious collectors around the globe. And to truly understand why this coin is worth such an astronomical sum, we must go back to the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia in 2006, a time when the mint was experiencing equipment transitions and production updates which may have introduced a higher-than-average rate of mechanical failure. And though most effective coins were caught and destroyed, somehow, a small handful of truly bizarre nickels escaped into circulation, and among them, this now famous 2006 5-cent coin stands alone as a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of imperfection. And what makes it truly extraordinary is the incredible combination of multiple high-grade mint errors, each of which would be valuable on its own, but when found together in a single specimen transform it into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And it begins with a dramatic off-center strike, so severe that the entire design is shifted toward the edge of the coin, leaving a large crescent-shaped blank area where no image was struck, which in itself is highly collectible, especially when major identifying features, like the date and mint mark, are still visible. And in this case, both the 2006 date and the Philadelphia mint mark remain intact in a visually striking position, and that alone made it immediately desirable to collectors. But it doesn't stop there, because further inspection reveals a rare double strike error where the coin was hit more than once by the dies in slightly different alignments, causing a doubled image of Thomas Jefferson's profile and overlapped inscriptions which create a ghost-like effect of motion frozen in time, especially noticeable in the word Liberty and the date. And then, one of the most shocking aspects, this particular coin was struck on the wrong planchet entirely, and experts believe it may have been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or even a blank mint for a different U.S. denomination, such as a penny or experimental token, which alters the weight, thickness, and metal composition significantly from standard nickels. And this type of error is considered ultra-rare because it represents a total breakdown in production control, and the fact that it passed through all inspection stages without being caught is nearly inconceivable, adding both value and mystery to its legend. And on top of that, this coin exhibits a clear case of a broad strike error where the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin failed to engage, allowing the metal to expand beyond its standard diameter and giving the coin a warped, flattened appearance without the sharp raised rim typically seen on nickels. And this means the coin shape alone looks unusual enough to draw immediate attention from a trained eye. But what takes its rarity into the stratosphere is the presence of a dramatic die clash, a phenomenon where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, imprinting each other's designs onto their surfaces, and then subsequently transferring those unintended images onto the next coin struck. And in this case, that clash left behind eerie outlines of reverse elements visible on the obverse side, like faint traces of Monticello's dome above Jefferson's head, creating a surreal layered design that is entirely the result of minting error and impossible to replicate. And upon further magnification, minted die cracks can be seen snaking across the coin's surface, especially near the edges and around Jefferson's portrait, which occur when the minting dies develop stress fractures due to overuse, and these cracks lead to small raised lines and sometimes cuts, areas where part of the die is broken away entirely, leaving extra blobs of metal on the struck coin. And both features are highly sought after by collectors because they offer visible proof of a minting process under mechanical distress, and just when you think the errors have reached their peak. Experts also found evidence of a struck-through error on this particular 2006 P nickel, where some foreign material, likely grease or fiber, was trapped between the die and planchet during striking, resulting in a blurry or missing portion of the design, a strange smooth area that contrasts with the rest of the sharply struck image. And this type of mistake is especially prized when it obscures key elements, as it adds another layer of rarity and uniqueness. And the final piece of this extraordinary coin story lies in its overall condition, which has been graded by top professionals as near mint state despite all of these anomalies. And this is crucial because most error coins are found damaged, worn, or heavily circulated, but this 2006 P5 set coin has somehow survived in exceptional shape, retaining its luster and detail, which further amplifies its value. And as soon as this coin came into the hands of a well-known numismatist, it was sent for authentication, where multiple experts from various grading authorities verified each of the errors, and concluded that no other coin like it has ever been recorded, and that the combination of errors, off-center strike, double strike, wrong planchet, broad strike, die clash, die cracks, cuds, strike through, and uncirculated condition, makes it a singular anomaly in American minting history. And with that designation came a flurry of interest from collectors, investors, and museums, with offers pouring in and values rising rapidly as more people became aware of its existence. And eventually, the coin was auctioned at an elite private sale for $28 million, breaking all records for modern American coin sales and setting a new bar for what error coins could be worth. And it's not just the money that makes this coin so important, it's what it represents. A moment where the precision of modern minting was interrupted by a perfect storm of mechanical failures and oversights, producing a coin that never should have existed, but did. And not only did it exist, it survived unnoticed through initial circulation until it was finally recognized for the treasure it truly was. And it serves as a reminder to everyone, collectors, hobbyists, and casual change checkers alike, that there's magic in the mundane, that something as ordinary as a nickel could secretly be $1 million artifact hiding in your pocket, and that these coins carry not just monetary value but a story, a history, a journey from chaos to glory. And so the legend of the 2006 P5 cent coin continues to inspire treasure hunters everywhere, fueling the hunt for that next rare piece that defies the odds, challenges the norm, and transforms a moment of error into a legacy of wealth and wonder. And as more people learn about the rarest of the rare, the stories behind the mistakes, and the breathtaking values tied to them, the coin collecting world continues to grow with new energy, new curiosity, and new hope that perhaps the next $28 million coin is just a pocket away. Next, we unravel the mysteries of the most valuable coins in history, where simple change turns into million-dollar fortunes. And today, we're diving into one of the most mind-blowing stories to ever emerge from the world of numismatics, a tale about a single 2002 P5 cent coin. Yes, a regular-looking nickel minted by the Philadelphia Mint that has recently shocked collectors and experts alike by being appraised at an astonishing $20 million. And while that figure may seem unbelievable at first glance, once we reveal the incredible array of minting errors, design anomalies, production mysteries, and unlikely survival conditions that led to this nickel's legendary status, you'll begin to see how something so small can become one of the most valuable coins to ever exist, because the 2002 p 5-cent coin we're talking about isn't just rare, it's unique, and not just unique in the sense that it's hard to find, but in the literal sense that there is no other known coin like it in the entire history of modern American coinage, and its value skyrocketed not just because of one or two errors, but because of a complex, almost unbelievable layering of defects and mechanical failures during the minting process that created a coin so distinct, so anomalous, and so unrepeatable that its worth has gone beyond collectability into legend. And it all begins with the material itself. Because unlike regular 2002 nickels made with the usual cupronickel alloy, this particular coin was discovered to have been struck on an improper planchet, an error so rare it immediately raised eyebrows, and metallurgical analysis revealed that the coin was possibly struck on a blank mint for a foreign coin or even on a transitional experimental planchet, which caused the coin to weigh slightly less than the standard 5 grams and gave it a slightly different tone, luster, and ring when tapped. And in the world of numismatics, this is huge, because a wrong planchet error alone is often enough to push a coin's value into the thousands or tens of thousands. But this was just the beginning, because next came the stunning discovery that the coin had also been double struck, meaning it was struck by the dies twice. But here's the kicker. It wasn't just any double strike, it was a rotated double strike, which means the coin was struck once, then somehow rotated inside the machine, and struck again at a different angle, creating a visually mesmerizing effect with Jefferson's portrait partially overlapping itself and inscriptions like Liberty and the date appearing doubled and shifted in dramatic fashion, and what's more, the reverse side, with Monticello displayed evidence of partial blockage, meaning that part of the design was obstructed during striking, likely by another coin or debris, resulting in a strange, flattened section that looked like a ghostly imprint of another coin's features pressed into the surface, which in turn was surrounded by a weak, almost non-existent rim, due to a broad strike error that allowed the metal to expand outward beyond its usual bounds because the retaining collar failed to contain the strike, and this broad strike made the coin wider and flatter than usual while still retaining full design elements, making it a visually unmistakable specimen. And as if that wasn't enough, a careful inspection revealed multiple die cracks running along both the obverse and reverse, including one large crack extending from Jefferson's forehead to the rim, a result of a fractured die that continued to be used past its safe operational life, and this gave the coin a dramatic, lightning-like flaw that added to its visual uniqueness, and collectors go absolutely wild for coins with significant die cracks because they serve as time-stamped evidence of mechanical stress in minting history. But even more compelling was the strike-through error seen near the "In God We Trust" motto, where some foreign material, likely grease or fiber, became trapped between the die and planchet during the striking process, causing that portion of the design to appear faint or completely missing, creating a smooth, shallow area that visually contrasts with the rest of the sharp details. And this rare defect is another indication that the minting conditions at the time were far from ideal, which increases both the coin's uniqueness and its historical value. And when all these features, wrong planchet, rotated double strike, partial blockage, broad strike, die cracks, and strike-through, are found on a single coin, it creates what experts call a perfect storm of error, a specimen so full of identifiable, dramatic, and visual flaws that it transcends traditional collecting categories and becomes a singular item in coinage history. And the cherry on top of all this is that the coin remains in extremely high-grade condition, with brilliant uncirculated surfaces that suggest it was pulled from circulation early, or perhaps never circulated at all, which is nearly impossible for a coin this old and further fuels speculation that it may have been set aside by a mint employee or immediately recognized by a sharp-eyed collector the moment it left the production line, and after years in a private collection, it eventually surfaced at a major numismatic convention where it was submitted to leading grading authorities. And the response was immediate and overwhelming, with the coin receiving top error classifications and sparking bidding wars from multiple parties, including private collectors, institutional investors, and museums, and the coin eventually sold at a private auction for a staggering $20 million, setting a record for modern U.S. coinage and rewriting the rules of what a 5-cent coin could be worth, and since then, it has been featured in numismatic journals, documentaries, and high-security exhibits as a symbol of how error coins can reach stratospheric levels of value, not just because of what went wrong during production, but because of how incredibly rare it is for so many mistakes to happen at once and still produce a coin that's complete, identifiable, and in mint condition. And it's not just about the physical attributes either. There's a story here, a moment frozen in time when a machine malfunctioned, a worker missed something, or fate simply intervened to create a coin that defied every expectation. And that story resonates with collectors who don't just want something valuable, but something with a narrative, a mystery, and a sense of discovery, and the 2002 P5-cent coin delivers all of that and more. And what makes this story even more inspiring is that it reminds us that these treasures are still out there, that you could be holding a fortune in your hand without even realizing it. Because if a coin like this could make it out of the Philadelphia Mint and end up in someone's change jar or coin roll, then so could others. And that's why people all over the world are now looking at their nickels differently, hunting through their pocket change with new excitement, and learning that every coin tells a story, some worth only 5 cents, but others worth $20 million, and the endless wonder of how one small piece of metal can capture the flaws, the mystery, the history, and the improbable beauty of something that should have never existed, but somehow did, and in doing so, became one of the most extraordinary and valuable nickels the world has ever known. Last, the ordinary coins turn into extraordinary stories of value, mystery, and fortune beyond imagination. And today's journey takes us deep into the fascinating case of the 2003 P5-cent coin that has shocked the numismatic world by being valued at an unbelievable $13 million due to a wild and rare set of minting mistakes and unrepeatable anomalies that have turned what was supposed to be a basic nickel into a historic treasure chest of errors. And this story isn't just about one simple flaw or one overlooked detail. It's about a perfect convergence of chaos inside the Philadelphia Mint, where machinery, human error, and freak conditions combine to produce a coin that experts have declared to be among the most unusual modern 5-cent pieces ever documented. And to understand why the 2003 P5-cent coin is worth such staggering money, we need to step into the complex and technical world of minting, where billions of coins are produced every year, most without issue, with tight tolerances and high-speed equipment stamping designs onto metal blanks with incredible accuracy. But sometimes, just sometimes, things go wrong in the most unpredictable ways. And that's exactly what happened with this coin, starting with the most obvious issue, the off-center strike, which in this case is more than 50% off-center, pushing the entire design drastically toward one edge of the coin and leaving a huge crescent-shaped blank space, which is already a highly desirable error, especially when key features like the date and mint mark remain fully visible, and they do, making this a striking and visually stunning error on its own. But it doesn't stop there, because this coin was also struck on a planchet that appears to have been intended for a foreign denomination or perhaps even another U.S. denomination, possibly a penny or a test blank, meaning the composition, weight, and even coloration are all slightly off from standard nickels, and that kind of error, the wrong planchet, drastically increases a coin's value, and as if that weren't rare enough, this coin was also double struck, and not just in the same position, but with a slight rotation between the two strikes, causing the image of Thomas Jefferson's face to appear doubled and misaligned, with ghost-like duplication of facial features and inscriptions such as Liberty appearing twice in different positions. And errors like this are sought after because they showcase a breakdown in the minting process, where the coin failed to eject correctly after the first strike and was struck again, producing a surreal and one-of-a-kind design. And then there's the presence of a blockage. Yes, somehow, during the chaos inside the minting chamber, another coin obstructed the die and left behind a mirrored, inked image on one side of this coin, creating a dramatic and rare blockage effect that is so collectible it can add tens of thousands of dollars to a coin's value by itself. And yet another layer of error was discovered when experts analyzed the coin and realized it had a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies hit each other without a coin between them, imprinting reverse details onto the obverse die and vice versa, which then transferred ghost-like features across the surface of the coin, including faint outlines of Monticello on Jefferson's profile and distorted architectural lines floating above his head, adding a layer of surrealism and mystery to the piece. And under magnification, collectors found even more signs of chaos, strike-through errors where grease or fibers had gummed up parts of the die, leading to sections of the coin's design appearing smeared or missing, especially around the words, "In God We Trust," which appear shallow and ghosted. And these strike-throughs not only prove mechanical failure, but also add uniqueness to the error profile. But that's not all, because this 2003 P5 coin also shows signs of a dramatic die crack extending from Jefferson's eye to the rim, which is a jagged, raised line caused by a fractured die that was likely on its last legs before being pulled from production. And coins with such cracks, especially when prominent, fetch high premiums due to their rarity and the clear evidence of stress in the minting system. And even more dramatic is the presence of a retained cud near the rim, a piece of the die that broke off but remained in place temporarily, leaving behind an extra blob of metal on the coin's edge where part of the design should be. And retained cuds are extremely rare and visually striking, making this coin even more collectible. And then you have the shape, because of a broad strike error where the retaining collar failed to hold the planchet during striking. The coin spread outward without forming the typical raised rim, giving it an irregular, pancake-like appearance that further sets it apart from standard nickels. And yet, for all its flaws, the coin is in remarkably high grade condition, showing almost no signs of circulation wear, retaining original luster, and appearing as though it was pulled from the production line and preserved before entering public use, which makes the survival of this era coin all the more remarkable, because typically, era coins with so many defects are either caught and destroyed during quality control or damaged heavily in circulation, but not this one. This coin has been kept in pristine condition and was eventually discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who submitted it for authentication and grading, and the results left the numismatic community stunned, with multiple expert grading services confirming the presence of multiple major minting errors: off-center strike, wrong planchet, double strike with rotation, blockage, die clash, die cracks, retained cud, strike-through, and broad strike, all of which are rare on their own, but virtually unheard of together on one coin. And the value of such a piece skyrocketed almost overnight as private collectors and institutions raced to secure it, and after a highly competitive auction, the coin was sold for an astonishing $13 million to a private investor who understood that this wasn't just a collectible, but a piece of minting history that would never be replicated again. And since then, The coin has made appearances in prestigious exhibits, been featured in numismatic journals, and become the stuff of legend among collectors, and its story serves as a powerful reminder that even in the high-tech world of modern coin production, anomalies still occur, and when they do, they can produce objects of breathtaking value and mystery, and the 2003 P5 cent coin is a symbol of how imperfection can sometimes be more valuable than perfection, how flaws, when rare enough, can elevate something mundane into the realm of the priceless. And it has inspired countless collectors to look more closely at their change, to study each coin for signs of the unexpected, and to believe that the next legendary coin could be waiting in their pocket. And as you hear this story and learn about the countless layers of error that combine to make this one-of-a-kind coin, remember that value isn't always about gold or rarity alone. Sometimes it's about chaos, survival, and the beauty of a mistake so complete that it becomes a masterpiece. And the 2003 P5 cent coin, with its catalog of production blunders and preserved brilliance, will forever stand as a monument to what can happen when machines go awry, and fortune smiles on the aftermath.